Hi and welcome to my channel, Sincerely Mrs. Griffin. Today we're going to talk about my recent surgery. So I've been posting regularly on Instagram for the past 6 weeks leading up to my surgery. I'm now almost 1 week post-op, and I thought I would share how I made the decision to have surgery, what kind of surgery I had, and everything involved to get to that point, in case other ladies on this channel are considering getting a abdominoplasty or a tummy tuck or a diastasis recti repair. If you're considering getting that type of surgery because you are experiencing issues related to your core and you're also done with having kids and you just want that corrected, this video is for you. First, we'll talk about how I made the decision to even have surgery. So I've had 5 pregnancies. My 4th pregnancy ended in miscarriage, and my 5th pregnancy, a little boy who's now 1, he was quite large when he was born. He was almost 10 pounds. And I like to tell people that little boy tore me apart because he literally split my abs open. And I developed a condition with my first pregnancy, but it was worsened over time. Like between each pregnancy, it would get better. But because of my last pregnancy and him being nearly 10 pounds, I had so many issues with my pelvic floor and having problems with my hips. I just had a lot of issues carrying him and had to wear a belly band thing to help extra support the weight of my belly. And after I had him, it created a deficit in my abdominal muscles. So before pregnancy and just like ordinary life and your anatomy, your abdominal muscles are like this. Those are your ab muscles. And when you have a baby, when you're carrying a baby, they naturally spread apart to create more room for the uterus, more room for the growing belly. What happened with me was after I had him, because I had already had this condition in previous pregnancies and I had been working out and trying to get it resolved as best as I could, but after I had my son, who was nearly 10 pounds, like I said, he split me open, and the diastasis, the defect between the abs, was about 4 fingers apart or 10 centimeters apart. That defect separated the abs, but in that separation, it also was open to hernias coming through. Different organs pushing through that soft spot. It was like a soft tissue area since the muscles were not together. And I developed the diastasis recti, which I knew I had because I was having a lot of issues with my pelvic floor. And so what I decided to do after having him was talk to my doctor at my 6-week appointment and to see if I could get into a physical therapist who specifically helps ladies with pelvic floor postpartum. Sure enough, I got connected with a physical therapist, and we worked from October to March to correct some of the issues. Once those abdominal muscles are separated and the muscles are really lax and the fascia, the fat in between, is just so lax, there's no 100% of them going back together. But through physical therapy, pelvic floor physical therapy, you can resolve a lot of the issues that come with having that defect in your abs. You can resolve a lot of your day-to-day pains and things that would upset you, like, you know, going to the bathroom or being incontinent or having trouble with your, your bowel movements, subsequent pregnancies that would make it worse. Always looking like you are pregnant because you have that defect muscle in your muscles there, so your belly kind of just pooches out all the time. So you just kind of have that mommy, what they call a mommy pooch, where you just always look like you're pregnant. So physical therapy definitely helped resolve some of my day-to-day issues. But by March, I knew from the very get-go at my 6 weeks appointment that I wanted to try physical therapy first. And if that didn't work, I wanted to consider surgery. But I needed to find a way to where I could use my health insurance to cover it, because getting a tummy tuck, getting this type of surgery is very expensive, and most health insurances deem it as cosmetic, not medically necessary. So what I did was I went to physical therapy from October to March, and I asked my OBGYN, my primary care doctor, and my physical therapist who was working with me, all three doctors were working with me during this window, if they would write a letter after they examined me about the defects that I was having and my desire to have surgery. If they would write a letter to my insurance with those medical notes stating that it was medically necessary for me to get the surgery. All three doctors agreed to do that, and they all did that for me, which I'm really grateful for. The next step I needed to do was to find either a general surgeon or a plastic surgeon who would work with me and take my insurance and have this surgery billed to my insurance. And I found a surgery office that had both general and plastics in that office. And I saw a plastic surgeon. She explained to me that this isn't typical. Insurance doesn't typically cover these things. And it's been her experience to have a bad experience when people say their insurance is going to cover it and the insurance comes back and deems it not medically necessary. So that was kind of discouraging when I first heard that, but she referred me to one of her colleagues who is a general surgeon in the office. And what she wanted me to do was she wanted me to go get a CT scan so that we could have that physical evidence to show the insurance, hey, here's a CT scan of her abdomen and you can see the defect. And when we saw that, yes, I do have the diastasis recti, you can see the separation, we were also surprised to see that I had a huge hernia of my small bowel, which I think is like the intestines. So I had a really big hernia there, and then I had a smaller hernia in my umbilicus or my navel or my belly button. Which I knew about the belly button thing because my belly button definitely changed after pregnancy. I had an innie before pregnancy and now I have an outie. So I could see that that area had changed, but I did not know about the other hernia. Now looking back, I think like all of my issues in the restroom with bowel movements and stuff maybe had something to do with how my intestines were pushing through my abdominal wall, that everything was not sitting in there correctly. So that's why I was maybe having so many issues. I'm not sure, but thinking back, that's what I'm thinking. It was causing, because of that defect, I was having issues in the restroom. So I had the CT scan and I went in to see the general surgeon, and I asked the general surgeon, you know, what can we do? How would you correct this? And he said he could go in robotically, and I would have like only 3 little punctures where he could go in, fix my diastasis, suture everything together, and he could also suture where the defect was for the hernia. But he said going in robotically instead of opening me up to see everything is a good fix. But in my case, because the hernia was so severe, he said he would feel more comfortable going in with an open incision and being able to see everything, and then double suturing and also using a biodegradable mesh. So to just provide that extra layer of support, and the mesh would dissolve, he said 12 to 18 months it would dissolve. So I asked him, I said, what about you and my plastic surgeon working together as a team? We'll file it under my insurance for everything, and you can do the repair on the hernia, and then she can open me up and also take away the loose skin on my belly, sort of as an added bonus. And both of the doctors agreed to do that. We filed it with our insurance. We got pre-approval for the surgery. Keep in mind, by this time, I've had my primary doctor, my OBGYN, my pelvic floor physical therapist, a general surgeon, and a plastic surgeon, and a doctor at the place I got my CT scan, all write up documentation that yes, she does have this defect, yes, she does need surgery. And so all of the codes were approved by my insurance, and my insurance with the coding said that it was okay to go in robotically or open me up for the surgery. You know, it said it had like a couple different ways that the doctor could approach the defect and fix the defect. So once I got the surgery all scheduled, I had about 6 weeks to lose a little bit of weight just to get my core in a good place and to get my body and mind in a good place going into surgery, because it is a huge surgery to have. You do use anesthesia, and you are going to be needing some downtime, about 6 weeks to recover from the surgery. So right now I'm on the other side of surgery. I took 6 weeks to prepare my body physically and to prepare mentally for the surgery. My husband went with me on the day of surgery, and I was scared to death, but the anesthesiologist was right. When you go under anesthetics, you really don't remember anything. I mean, the last thing I remember was one of the nurses saying, okay, give your hubby a kiss goodbye. And I think while I was doing that, the other nurse was putting the anesthesia medicine into my IV, because after that I was out. I don't even remember what the OR looks like. I think I was out before I even got into the OR room, or at least I was dozy. And the next thing I remember was a really nice male nurse waking me up and being like, you know, are you awake? You're at the hospital, kind of telling me what was going on. And I remember that I told that male nurse as I was being wheeled to my recovery room, because that was kind of like triage and then you're wheeled to your recovery room. I remember telling him that I loved him. So that was pretty funny. But we came home the same day. The surgery was very early in the morning. We had to be at the hospital at 5 a.m. to check in. Surgery started about 8:15. 3 hours later, I was done with surgery, which was a lot quicker and a lot shorter than what we initially thought based off of those CT scans. We thought the surgery would take longer, but with 2 doctors on board, everything was fixed. The loose skin was removed. And another thing that I was told was the defect in my abdomen, the abdominal separation, may have been so bad and so concerning that I may not have been able to keep my belly button. But they were able to do the surgery, fix the defect, all the defects, and I was able to keep my belly button. So that means that I won't need a subsequent surgery 6 months down the road to get a new belly button put on. Not that anyone's going to see my belly button, but it just helps you feel whole, you know, when you have all the same parts as everybody else. So yeah, so that's what happened. So now I am in the first week post-op of recovery. Day 1 and day 2 were extremely painful, extremely hard on me. I am still sleeping in a recliner, which I highly recommend if you get a tummy tuck or an abdominoplasty or get a muscle repair, anything like that. I highly recommend that you get a recliner, because the doctor wants you sleeping at an angle to let everything drain in those first few weeks. So I am sleeping on my back, and that's another thing. You're not allowed to sleep on your stomach or on your side after you have this surgery. You have to sleep on your back. So it's either in the bed with like a wedge pillow situation under your feet and under your head, or in a recliner, which the recliner naturally, because of the way how it folds, it naturally has you sitting that way. So right now I am sleeping in a recliner, and I do have 2 drains in that are just draining some of that excess fluid. My surgeon did cut me from hip to hip and suture me from hip to hip. So that's what it looks like on the outside, is a big scar from hip to hip that's right now that's bandaged up. And then I'm also in a compression garment to help with the drainage and to get rid of some of that fluid and that puffiness. True healing from this type of surgery is a little bit more complicated than other surgeries. They say you'll feel really like crud in the first week. The second week things kind of turn around, and then by week 6 you can return to your normal activities, but you're still a little bit slower, so you're kind of easing into things. By 12 weeks you're feeling really, really good, and then 6 months to a year is when it's considered like true healing. You're done. You should be doing all the things that you used to do before, and you will really have a true picture of what your abdomen is going to look like moving forward. I did not have any lipo done because my insurance, that would be something that I would have to pay for. So I did not have any lipo done, but I did have, like I said before, I did have the, sorry, I'm looking down, there's an ant. I did have the muscle repair, my 2 hernias taken care of, and then as an added bonus, I had the loose skin on my belly taken away. Just because when they cut you from hip to hip and then open you up, they are literally open you up like this. So it's being stretched anyway, because it's being held back so that the surgeon can do the work, and then they have to put it back down. So I would imagine, like, if you were doing surgery like that, it would look even worse to just fold it back down and close you up. Like, I would think like you would want that loose skin removed. Like, it would just be automatically a part of it just for aesthetics. Not that I'm all about the looks, because I was already super self-conscious about my belly, my postpartum belly, and self-conscious on the outside, but then because I had the defect, there was a lot more stuff going on the inside. So I am thankful. I feel like I've gone through the 7 stages of grief when this surgery happened, where I was upset, I was sad, I've been happy, I've been like second guessing, did I do the right thing? I've been looking at my stomach being like, oh, I don't know if I like it, but it's not what it's gonna look like forever. It just looks at the beginning stages of healing, so it just need to give it some time. But anyway, ask your questions down below. I'm an open book. If you're thinking about having this surgery, ask me anything. Some stuff that's really helped me in my recovery is my recliner. I have a shower seat that's been really helpful. I have a walker that I've been using when I walk for long periods, but now I'm kind of transitioning to not using the walker and just walking on my own. What else did I get that was helpful? Oh, and I have a one of those toilet seats that has the handles on the side, so that it makes it easier for me to, you know, sit down and have control of me doing it independently, and then be able to get up off the toilet. So those few things have been super helpful. I didn't want to spend a ton of money on buying a bunch of stuff, because I know here on YouTube there's tons of women that can tell you, oh, buy this, buy that, this makes it good. But my doctor gave me some really good encouragement when I was like, what should I buy? Should I buy all this stuff? She told me, she was like, don't spend your money on that stuff, because I want you up and moving around. Okay, anyway, that's all I have to say about that. If you have questions, comments, comment down below. Any questions about my surgery, or if you're thinking about having a tummy tuck and you want more information, or to ask me something, you can put that in the comments. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, bye.